My name is Brian Bremer, standing with Affirmative today for this House that believes that we should legalize all drugs in the United States. I'm not from a high school championship debate team. I've won no trophies. I am no expert rhetorician. But what I do have are moral convictions. This House believes that we cannot afford to not legalize all drugs. Now, I'm going to be refuting my contender's remarks and re-emphasizing our own position. Once again, our policy is relatively simple. It comes in 3 steps. Regulate, rehabilitate, and research. Now, okay. Scare me. Regulate, pretty simple. We legalize all drugs, and we move use of heavy drugs into a clinical setting, sponsored by the government.
Point of information?
Yes, sir.
How would you force that?
How would you force
How would
it?
you force it into a clinical setting?
By having administrative sanctions on non-clinical usage of heavy drugs.
Okay.
So, when we defang law enforcement, and when I say defang, I mean we no longer have to spend an absurd amount of money funding SWAT raid after SWAT raid, and the cuts to the mass incarceration system are immense. We end up with a boost to the economy of $41.3 billion, which goes a long way towards the $85 billion. The rest is made up in revenue increases from taxing the substance, sale of the substance. That's pretty much covers it for the regulation part of the speech. Rehabilitate, once again, when you look at heroin, and I'm going to look at heroin, I'm going to look it dead in the eye. When you look at heroin, the problem with heroin, the problem with almost all hard drugs, the way that you expire from using them is 3 simple ways. You either overdose, the mixture that you've injected into your body has been tampered with. There are alien compounds that interact with you in a catastrophic way, or the needles that you're using are dirty. Now, my opposition, we'll get to that in a moment. When you put that into a clinical setting, you remove all of those factors. You sterilize it. You sterilize the culture around drug use. My opposition made the moral argument, would you like if your parents were heroin addicts? No, I'm not endorsing heroin usage. But what is the problem when your parents are heroin addicts? What's the problem here? Oh, they begin to engage in criminal behavior to fund their addiction. The problem is that they're outside of the system. They're not integrated into modern society. In this system that we're proposing, we would reintegrate them into the workforce in a safe and clean way. The problem with having your parents be heroin addicts is that they're prostituting on the weekends to fund their habit, their addiction.
Point of information?
Not right now. I'm busy mopping the floor. The other point of contention was that addiction is a strain on medical and healthcare resources. Yes, I totally agree. At the present it is. Because we have this large section of society that we've pushed out of the system. But with this injection of billions of dollars, a third of our 85, I think it's 23.8 something. With an injection of that into healthcare resources, we can more than accommodate this sort of safe usage. I do not stand for that contention. Finally, your contention was that the cons of drug use outweigh the pros of drug use individually. I totally agree. This is not endorsing drug use. This is regulating and warning about the dangers of it. But once people fall into that vicious cycle of a drug addiction that they can't break, marijuana usage, alcohol addiction, cocaine usage, these are obviously drugs that weigh on the productivity of society and on the fiber of an individual. But those 3, the big ones that you often hear about, can be broken. The addiction to them physically can be broken. When we look at heroin, you physically cannot break that addiction. It messes with your mind on a fundamental level. It infiltrates the entire depression circuit. It is a mess.
Point of information?
Yes, sir.
So you just said that you would be fine with parents using heroin as long as they weren't prostitutes on the street. But then you also said that they are mentally attached to heroin, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And that mental attachment is accommodated for through the government structure. When you
Would people
said,
still
would you like if your parents were heroin addicts? No, I would not. That would be heartbreaking. But what is the problem of having a heroin addict? Fundamentally, what are the problems? The criminal behavior to pay for the addiction, right? Is that
Wouldn't you still
not a
have to pay for
problem?
it? Wouldn't you still have to pay for it?
Yes, but it becomes publicly funded with the funds saved from law enforcement.
Do you publicly fund drug use?
You publicly fund the police right now. All right, I'm done taking points of information. Eddie says only take 2. I took like 8 in that little exchange. I think I've made my point on that point of contention. Finally, I'm going to talk for a moment about the drug war. There's the elephant in the room. Thank you. Thank you for the time.
Okay.
It's the elephant in the room. We cannot afford to not end the war on drugs. There are, I have the number here. There are, in 2015, which is the latest year we have research on, 2016 numbers haven't come out yet, 1.48 million people were arrested for drug use. 83.9% of those, can't have 0.9% of people. 83.9% of the 1.48 million drug arrests in 2015 were for possession. And that is the highest rate it has ever been, reflecting the change in priorities of the drug war to punish citizens over manufacturers and dealers and criminal offenders. It is a war on our own citizens. We, the affirmative side, are arguing to end that war, to bring about a more effective, more economically efficient, more morally upright society. I don't need to tell you what the negative is arguing.